for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I have some questions I'm going to ask. Obviously, when we were having the opening statements, I was talking about the number of people we're seeing coming across the border illegally, but also we've had a hearing on this where Dr. Fauci, among others, testified that the CDC is violating their own guidance at the border in terms of trying to stop the spread. I wanted to see if we could run, there's a video, Mr. Chairman, that we have given to your staff, if we can run that video right now. Because look at these pictures. Dr. Fauci, does this look like social distancing to you that you require when you talk about 6 feet?
No.
So in these cells, as you just said, they're violating the very guidance that you tell Americans to follow. A restaurant in the United States would be shut down today if they were being run like this, yet the federal government, the Biden administration, is running this facility. You can see all of these young children who are next to each other 6 inches apart, many without masks, by the way. Does that follow your guidance that you've issued?
No.
Well, then, why would the Biden administration not go and stop this? I think one of the reasons is because President Biden and Vice President Harris won't even go see this for themselves. That's why I keep urging strongly that they go to the border. So, Mr. Chairman, as we can see, Dr. Fauci testified back a few months ago that what we're seeing at the border by the Biden administration is violating their own CDC guidance about how to properly protect people from spreading COVID. Since that hearing, Mr. Chairman, at least another 400,000 people have come across our border illegally, and those are just the ones that were apprehended. Many of them, as our own Border Patrol agents tell us, are COVID positive. Now with the Lambda variant, do we need to keep saying this before we finally have a hearing to confront this? But the Lambda variant could potentially be more dangerous than the Delta variant. It's widespread in Peru. It's coming across our border right now through South and Central America into the United States. At what point are we going to have a hearing to confront how to stop this? At what point is President Biden going to get control of the southern border so we don't see the Lambda variant take over in our country like we're seeing the Delta variant? But to the issue at hand, I do want to ask Mr. Griffith, regarding the vaccines, do you think they're safe and effective?
From what we know, these vaccines are incredibly safe, very effective, and it's in large part why much of the country has been able to return to normal.
And it clearly was the Operation Warp Speed efforts that brought these to the market so quickly. Are these vaccines available to everybody who wants to take them?
Thankfully, in this country, these vaccines are widely available. Every person who wants a vaccine can get one. They're available at no cost, and across the entirety of the country, you can get a vaccine with almost no wait, same day. Show up, you can get the vaccine.
And so as people, you're seeing some employers that are encouraging their employees to get vaccinated as we try to push to get people back to work. How many job openings are there in the country?
We have over 9 million job openings right now. In fact, we have never had this many job openings. There are more job openings now than there were prior to the pandemic. There are more job openings now than there are the total number of people unemployed in this country.
And see, that's something that we've been talking about. Do you think it's good policy to be borrowing money from our children to pay people not to work at a time where there are maybe more job openings than we've ever seen before?
No, we are mortgaging our children's future, our grandchildren's future. We're beginning to feel the impacts of that right now over this past year. As you noted, our cost of living is actually increasing at a greater clip than our actual income levels. And we know for a fact that borrowing money from the future to pay people not to work has actually resulted in many people choosing to not go back to work. We know this anecdotally from talking to people, but the numbers are showing up in the data as well, because you can compare and contrast those states that have cut off federal unemployment bonuses with those states that haven't, and the data are clear. The states that have cut off those bonuses have recovered at a much greater clip.
And then when we're seeing their economy pick up, we're seeing people able to get back to their lives, not having problems with rent because they're working again. You're hearing talk around this place by people that just want to spend and spend and spend as if it is money just growing off trees. Do you think a multi-trillion-dollar spending package on top of the trillions already been spent would do anything to add to the inflation we're already seeing?
It could quite possibly do that. In fact, don't just take my word for it. Lawrence Sumner's, who was one of President Obama's top advisors, has actually warned about this possibility as well. The fact is, every dollar that is new dollar that's appropriated by Congress is a dollar that we actually aren't taking in from taxes. We're borrowing this, or we're having our central bank print the money, buy the debt, and inject it into the economy, and there will be negative consequences for that in terms of the standard of living for the typical family being lower than it would otherwise have been because their cost of living will increase as a result of possible inflationary pressures.
Well, I appreciate your testimony, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.